Hey, good Wednesday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon. Thanks for joining me on the Hail Trace Noon forecast today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox. Hey, yesterday we had a surprise hailstorm out in San Antonio. Not even a risk in San Antonio, and we got a 4-star out of this storm that dropped 2.5-inch in size hailstones across the western portion of San Antonio. I'll take a look at that map here in just a minute. We saw storms, or we're seeing storms, across the plains for today, so we are expecting those storms to fire up this afternoon, but then another round continues into the evening and overnight hours, and that is not the only chance for storms. If you're watching from not a plains state, if you're watching from somewhere else in the country, you most likely are in the risk for storms over the next 3 to 4 days. We have a risk not only today, but also for tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Yeah, it's a busy week ahead. But let's talk about what we saw yesterday. That San Antonio storm seemingly popped out of nowhere. It fired up very quickly and then tracked to the west across the SeaWorld area just on the western side of San Antonio. You can see these dark orange colors indicate that we got larger than golf ball size hail, right around 2 to 2.5 inch size hail here. So that was the max hail size, 2.5 inches. How many homes impacted? A ton of homes here, almost 150,000 homes impacted from this swath, and it was just the little storm that popped up, went over San Antonio, started to die as it came right into the center of the city. We did have another storm right behind it. It didn't do much at all. It was just that one storm out in Texas yesterday. That heat is surging back into Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas as well. A little bit warmer today than what we saw yesterday. We're going to see that warm up extend farther out to the east for tomorrow and really follow the heat. Where will the storms be? Follow those warmer temperatures. You're going to see those storms out to the east tomorrow. Once again, another risk on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But we'll get to that here in just a minute. Right now, we've got some light rain across the Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Missouri state line. We've got storms firing up later today, but not right now. It's just the calm before the storm right now. Quiet along the northeast yesterday after all of those storms moved out. Quiet across the Gulf as well. We've got a few clouds out there, but for the most part, we've got some sunshine, especially in the southeast. And then we've got some snow up to the north, pretty average for this time of the year. 65 is your current temperature here in Oklahoma City, 70 down in Dallas, and 76 down in Houston. Now, we talked about the heat. Follow the heat to find the storms, right? What about that moisture, where you can see that there is a surge of moisture coming up into Oklahoma, Kansas, and even portions of Nebraska later on this afternoon and into the overnight hours? What you're looking at right now is Wednesday by 7 a.m., some of that moisture starts to move to the east, and so will that storm risk. So we've got the heat, we've got the moisture. Where do we expect the storms today? Right here, highlighted in yellow, just to the south of Omaha, all the way through the middle of Missouri, down into Oklahoma, Texas, up into Kansas. So we've got that level 1 risk highlighted in green, a level 2 risk highlighted in yellow, and level 3 there in orange. Now, this is the SBC risk, but we like to break this down a little bit further here at Hail Trace, and we'll show you exactly where we're expecting hail. It may differ from this risk just a little bit, just to show you exactly where we're expecting those largest hailstones today. Now, there's 2 things to talk about in terms of timeline today. The first thing will be those storms that initiate ahead of the dry line here. This will be very, very isolated, but this is where you're going to get the largest hailstone and maybe even those supercells that could produce a tornado as well, okay? So that's what we're watching for ahead of the dry line. This will be in the daylight hours, so we're talking anywhere between about 4 and 8 o'clock this evening. After 8, we'll start to see a line of storms form, and this will be the second round, a little bit more promising. It's going to hit more people here, so it's not going to be as isolated. But the biggest risk with this second round of storms will be that high wind, a little bit of hail, not as large as what we were seeing earlier in the day, and then embedded spin-up tornadoes. So I think that we could still see that tornado risk, but they're going to be fast. Remember, spin-up tornadoes don't mean weak tornadoes. It means fast tornadoes. The tornadoes that hit the ground fast, you have little warning time with those embedded lines of storms. Taking a look at Wednesday, these storms continue to track off to the east into Wednesday. We've got the Midwest, Tennessee Valley, all the way down into Texas for storms on Wednesday. This will continue through most of the day. The best chance for that larger hail will be anywhere from St. Louis into Kentucky, Tennessee, and then down to the south into Texas and Louisiana. You don't have to remember that right now. I've got a graphic for you. We'll get into it here in just a minute. But let's go back to today. Let's talk about those storms today. Holy moly, we could get up to baseball-size hail this afternoon. Now, of course, this will be isolated, but I do think that it's possible. I'm not going to rule out those really large hailstones later on this afternoon, especially from some of those isolated storms in the afternoon and evening hour, just ahead of the dry line. So baseball-size hail is possible. Where are we expecting to see that baseball-size hail? I have a map for you. So we could see that anywhere from the southern portion of Nebraska through the central portion of Kansas, northern Oklahoma. Now, yes, I did leave Oklahoma City out of this, and I think that because it's going to be so isolated right in here, it's really hard to pinpoint where exactly those storms are going to be. I still think maybe right in here is where we could see some of those larger hailstones. So I may bring that red risk down just a little bit there. Still, I really like this area in Kansas for some of those larger hailstones. And then I think we'll see one area down here with still a low risk. I have it low to moderate down into Texas, from San Angelo to Texas, for some of those larger hailstones. So you can see how this differs just a little bit from the map that we showed you earlier. And that's because we want to break down those individual hazards for you. Hail anywhere from southern Nebraska into Kansas, northern Oklahoma, and then down into Texas, anywhere from Dallas to San Angelo. But again, I think that that best risk will be right in the center of this risk here. And we'll talk about timing here in just a minute. As we move to the east, these storms will slowly become more of a wind machine. That high wind expected anywhere from Kansas City all the way down to Springfield, but I think really anywhere along the eastern side of this risk, we could see that high wind. Right now, I have it up to 73 miles an hour, but I wouldn't be surprised if we could get 75 miles an hour for high wind in here. I really doubt that we're going to get up to 80 miles an hour, so I kept it on that low end, a level 1 for today. The tornado risk. Now, this is going to be very interesting because, again, it'll be those isolated storms at the very beginning of this storm risk that we'll watch for the strongest tornadoes. Still, that doesn't mean that that line of storms that will come in later on this evening and into the overnight hours can't produce a tornado. That's absolutely possible. So let's talk regions, and then we'll talk timeline. You can see that the best region for some of those strong tornadoes will come in right in between Kansas City, including Wichita, including Tulsa, including Oklahoma City, all the way down to the Red River, the Oklahoma-Texas state line. So that's where we're watching for the best risk for strong tornadoes. And again, a strong tornado, EF2 or higher. Now let's talk about storms today. Looks pretty quiet on future radar right now, right? I think that this will be one of those days that we're sitting around waiting for storms to fire. All of a sudden they fire, and then it'll be like one after another after another. Okay, all of a sudden storms fire. Now this will be seemingly random. Some models want to put storms in between Wichita and Tulsa. Some models want to bring storms right into OKC. So where they fire, we won't know until we start to see those clouds build and the cap breaks finally, right? And for those of you who haven't really talked about it too much because we're at the very beginning of our spring season, think about whenever you get a bottle of Dr. Pepper and you shake it up, you've got all of that energy inside of that Dr. Pepper, right? You untwist the cap, what happens? That Dr. Pepper goes everywhere. Now, if you wait a bit and you keep that cap closed, it'll fizzle out and you can drink it a little bit while later, right? Now, if we can break the cap, very similar with these storms today, if we can break that cap, they're going to explode very fast, and all of a sudden, we are going to see some really strong storms very fast. Again, the timeline here, anytime after 3, 4 o'clock this evening, or this afternoon, into the evening hours, by about dark, we're going to have a lull, and then we're finally going to start to see a line of storms unzip through the overnight hours. Now, this model is not showing it very well, but some models want to bring this line all the way down into Oklahoma. So we'll have to see exactly what happens through the overnight hours. I showed you the NAM first. This is the HER model, and you can kind of see the difference between, there you go, there's some storms forming later in the day between the NAM and the HER. Again, down in Dallas, down into San Angelo, these storms are going to be pop-up storms. You're not going to see as much organization down to the south. You're going to see much more coverage up to the north in places like Omaha. I saw a question for Omaha earlier. Let's talk about your city by city. Kansas City, I think the best timeline for you will be between about 9 and 11 o'clock tonight. Your max hail size, right around, what do I have here? 1.5 inch, ping pong ball size hail. Anything larger than that, you're going to have a pretty low risk for. You have 2 rounds. You have one between 9 and 11 o'clock tonight, and one early tomorrow morning that could impact your early morning commute. Going down to Wichita here, we're watching for those pop-up showers and storms anywhere between about 6 and 8 o'clock tonight, but you're going to have a second round later on as well. Your round number 2 comes in the early morning hours. And your large hail sizes, you could get up to tennis ball size hail in Wichita today. Did you see those large hail sizes? I didn't even mention them. Chance for 1 inch hail or higher, pretty high today. Over golf ball size hail, also a pretty good chance. Tulsa, I think there's a pretty good chance for some large hail in Tulsa as well. I think that if you could get an isolated storm this afternoon, you're going to get some large hail. If not, your round of storms will come in early tomorrow morning by about 9 a.m. This could also impact your early morning commute. Taking a look at Oklahoma City, 7 to 10 o'clock for timeline tonight, and then another round overnight tonight and into the early morning hours. There you go. That goes about 5 to 7 tomorrow morning for this model. And I think Dallas, I think this is the last city specific that I have in Dallas. We could get anywhere between golf ball to 2 inch size hail down in Dallas, but I think the best timing for storms will be after 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So could you get some pop-up storms this evening? Yes, that's possible. It's a low chance, but it's possible. The best timeline in Dallas will be after 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So you've got some time before those storms come in. And that's from that long line of storms that extends all the way from Kansas all the way down to Dallas. All right, let's take a look at what we're expecting for tomorrow. Moving in from Tuesday, early Wednesday morning. There's that line of storms coming into Dallas by your early morning commute. There's Tulsa, early morning commute. KC, 7 a.m., early morning commute. It's going to be a wet commute for a lot of you guys. Alrighty, moving into Wednesday, because yes, we have another risk on Wednesday as well. You can see as we head into the afternoon and evening hours, those line of storms start to redevelop. A little bit more isolated the far south that you go, and I think this will be the more promising area for some of those larger hailstones. This will continue to track to the east through the late night hours on Wednesday and early morning hours on Thursday. So it's just like storm after storm after storm. We have another risk out to the plains on Thursday, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's talk about Wednesday first, and then we'll go into Thursday. So you can see on Wednesday, Chicago to Cincinnati, pretty low chance for large hail. Springfield to Nashville, those chances start to increase for large hail, and I think some of the best chances for tomorrow for large hail will be anywhere from Shreveport to Little Rock. I have kept the hail sizes smaller, so for today, for Tuesday, up to baseball size hail. For tomorrow, I'm bringing that down to golf ball size hail. So you'll see that reflected on our max forecasted hail size up to the size of golf balls. What about the tornado risk for tomorrow? Now, I'm quite interested in the tornado risk for tomorrow because it's a pretty widespread area here, anywhere from Cincinnati all the way down to the eastern side of Missouri into Arkansas, most of Arkansas in this tornado risk here, all the way to Nashville, Tennessee. So we once again have a level 3, that high risk, with those dashed lines. Now, what do these dashed lines mean? Again, a strong tornado possible in this area. Moving on to Thursday. Finally getting to the end of the week here, and it's just round after round after round. If you missed something, I know this is a lot of information. If you missed something, you can always go back and watch this forecast again. After it's done, you can rewind it, pause it, look at the graphic as you need to. But again, on Thursday, we have another chance for storms. This shifted just a little bit to the east, but does include Oklahoma. By Friday, Oklahoma, Texas, all the way up into Cincinnati, once again included in that storm risk. And brand new today, if you watched the forecast yesterday, we didn't have a risk on Saturday. Today, we do. Saturday, we're expecting those storms to inch a little bit closer to the Gulf Coast here, including southern Arkansas, Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So we've got a lot going on here. We stay in this active pattern, and we talk all the time about how can you recognize an active pattern. Look for the troughs in the upper edges of the atmosphere and the upper corners of the atmosphere. What are we looking for? We're looking for the jet stream, and we're looking for these deep reds and oranges in the jet stream, and that's what we call a jet streak, and that's where we can often decide that we're going to stay in a pretty active pattern. We're going to see more storms. There you go. We're going to see more storms into the first week of April, and we told you that about a week ago. And guess what? First week of April, we're saying day after day after day of storm risk. Let's talk temperatures here. Of course, if you need to go back and look at those storm risks later, you can do that after this forecast is over. 71 by tomorrow afternoon here in Oklahoma City, 70 in St. Louis, 64 in Chicago. Pretty nice. You can get outside there. We see a little bit of a cool down as we head into Thursday through most of the U.S., anywhere from the northern plains all the way out to Denver, Rapid City. Don't put away those coats quite yet. You may need them as we head into the end of the work week. But you know this time of the year, it's a roller coaster of temperatures. We'll warm right back up. Pretty windy today. I got out of my car. It's a hold on to the door handle type of day. I opened that car door and had to hold on. Anywhere from Kansas all the way down to Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico. This high wind is going to also factor into the high fire danger that we see today and tomorrow. So you know the drill here, no outdoor burning until conditions improve. And taking a look at your extended temperature outlook, temperatures are below average. We're finally cooling back down a little bit as we head into the second week of April. Now, what does this tell you? What did I say earlier? Follow the heat to find the storms, also follow the moisture. And for the second week of April, it looks like that moisture is going to be not as promising as what it is right now. So if we don't have the heat and we don't have the moisture, will we see a quieter, severe weather week, April 6th through the 10th? I think it's possible. Could we quiet down a little bit, see a little less activity through that second week of April? I think it's absolutely possible. So if you need a break, just wait a few days and you may see one with some lower severe chances into that second week of April. We'll keep an eye on it for you. Of course, we have many Mets here at Hail Trace who are mapping those storms. We'll be mapping them this evening. We'll be mapping them overnight tonight and into tomorrow. 24/7 is when we map storms. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And if you're interested in one of those hail, wind, or tornado maps, give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com for more information. You can also head over to our website, hailtrace.com. Okay, we will probably jump back on our live later on this afternoon or evening whenever those storms start to fire up. So hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you back here in a few hours.